Good morning, students. Topic for today is elbow joint. Elbow joint is a hinge variety of synovial joint. It is a combination of the humeroradial and the humeroulnar joints. So do not get confused between elbow joint and another term which is elbow complex or cubital articulation. When along with the humeroradial and humeroulnar joint, the superior radioulnar joint is also included or referred to, we use a common term that is elbow complex. So elbow joint is only humeroradial and humeroulnar, and when we are referring elbow complex or cubital articulation, we include the superior radioulnar joint as well. In this figure, this is a presentation, this is a hinge variety, and this is a presentation of the elbow joint as well. This is how the elbow joint is, and in a hinge variety only the movements are possible along a single plane, that is either flexion or extension. Articular surfaces of the elbow joint. It has upper articular surface, which is the humerus. The lower end of the humerus is the upper articular surface of the elbow joint, that is capitulum and trochlea. The lower articular surface is formed by the upper surfaces of the radius, that is the head of the radius, articulates with the capitulum of the humerus, and the trochlear notch of ulna articulates with the trochlea of the humerus. In this figure here, you can see this is humerus. This is the lower end of the humerus. It has capitulum on the lateral side and trochlea on the medial side. The capitulum will articulate with this radius, the upper surface of the head of the radius, and the trochlea articulates with the trochlear notch of the ulna. This is humerus, this is radius, this is ulna, this is the upper articular surface, and this is the lower articular surface. So this entire is the elbow joint. There are important fossa present above and posteriorly to the articular surfaces of the elbow joint. That is, the coronoid fossa is present above the trochlea. The coronoid process of ulna fits into it in extreme flexion. That is, when the elbow is flexed, the coronoid process of ulna fits into this fossa. There is radial fossa above the capitulum. The radial head fits into it in extreme flexion. In this diagram, you can see these are the fossa we are referring to. This is the coronoid fossa above the trochlea. This is the radial fossa above the capitulum. There is one more fossa on the posterior side. This is the olecranon fossa. The olecranon process of ulna fits into it in extreme extension. Ligaments of the elbow joint. The first ligament is the capsular ligament, the capsule of the elbow joint, which is lined by the synovial membrane. Superiorly, this ligament is attached to the lower end of the humerus, and all the structures, that is the capitulum, trochlea, radial fossa, coronoid fossa, olecranon fossa, are all lying within the capsule. That is, they all are intracapsular. Inferomedially, on the inferior side, medially, because medially we have the ulna bone, so the capsular ligament is attached to the margin of the trochlear notch of the ulna, except laterally. Inferolaterally, we have the radius. It is attached to the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. This is the capsular ligament that we are talking about. Superiorly, it is attached to the humerus, the lower end of the humerus, and all the fossa and the capitulum, trochlea are intracapsular. On the medial side, that is inferomedially, it would be attached to the margins of the trochlear notch, except laterally, and on the lateral side, it would be attached to the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. Another ligament is the ulnar collateral ligament. It is a ligament which is triangular in shape. The apex of the ligament is attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus, because we are talking about ulnar collateral and ulna is on the medial side. So its apex is attached to the medial epicondyle of humerus and base is attached to the ulna. This ligament has three bands, the anterior band, the posterior band and the oblique band. The anterior and posterior bands are thick. They are attached to the coronoid process and the olecranon process. And the oblique band is basically a band which joins the lower end of these two bands, that is the anterior and the posterior band. And it also gives attachment to thinner intermediate fibers of the ligament. In this figure you can see this is the ulnar collateral ligament. It is triangular in shape with its apex attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus and base attached to the ulna. These are the two bands, the anterior, posterior. This is the oblique band which joins these two bands together. Third ligament is the radial collateral, or also known as the lateral ligament, because radius is on the lateral side. It is a fan-shaped band. It extends from the lateral epicondyle above to the annular ligament below. In this figure, this is the fan-shaped ligament. Above it is attached to the lateral epicondyle and below this is the annular ligament and it is attached to that. The vessels that supply the elbow joint, it is supplied by the anastomosis around the elbow joint. The nerves that gives branches to the elbow joint are the ulnar nerve, median nerve, radial nerve, musculocutaneous nerve through its branch to the brachialis muscle. Movements possible at the elbow joint. Two movements are possible as it is a hinge variety. So along a single plane only two movements are possible. That is flexion, which is brought about by the brachialis, the biceps brachii and the brachioradialis muscle. There is a mnemonic, 3 B's, bend the elbow. Extension is possible because of triceps brachii and anconeus, and the mnemonic is EAT, eat. Carrying angle. So there is an important angle which is associated with the elbow joint. When the forearm is extended, it doesn't lie in a straight line with the arm. Instead, it will make an angle of about 13 degrees with it. This angle is more pronounced in females. So carrying angle is an angle between the long axis of the arm and the long axis of the forearm. In this figure here, this is the long axis of the arm and this is the long axis of the forearm, and they are making an angle which is referred to as the carrying angle. In the radiographic image also you can see the formation of the carrying angle between the long axis of the arm and the long axis of the forearm. Factors responsible for this formation of this angle, it is because the medial flange of the trochlea is 6 mm deeper than the lateral flange, and the superior articular surface of the coronoid process of ulna is placed oblique to the long axis of the bone. In this figure, this is the trochlea. This is the medial flange of the trochlea because this is medial epicondyle, so this would be the medial flange. This is the lateral flange. If you compare both these flange, the medial is deeper than the lateral and it is 6 mm deeper. Also, the superior articular surface of the coronoid process would be oblique to the long axis of the forearm. This carrying angle, it disappears while full flexion of the elbow, pronation of the forearm, and while the mid-prone position of the forearm, this would disappear. Utility of the carrying angle. With a gradually increasing carrying angle during extension of elbow, the precision with which hand is controlled is also increased. So this carrying angle is responsible for making the movements of the hand more precise. And while we are walking, it helps the arm to swing without hitting the buttocks. Clinical conditions related with the elbow joint. Dislocation of the elbow. The dislocation is more common posteriorly. It is associated with either fracture of the head of the radius or fracture of the coronoid process of the ulna. The triangular relationship between the olecranon process, the medial epicondyle and the lateral epicondyle is lost. Subluxation head of radius. It is also known as pulled elbow. Commonly occurs in children. It occurs when the forearm is suddenly pulled in pronation. The head of the radius slips out from the annular ligament. You can see here, this is the head of the radius, and when the arm is suddenly pulled, it will slip out from the grip of the annular ligament. Another condition which is associated with the elbow joint is the tennis elbow. Very commonly seen in tennis players, and it is caused because of sprain of the radial collateral ligament and also because of tearing of fibers of the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. There is pain and tenderness over the lateral epicondyle, which is also known as the common extensor origin. Another condition just opposite of the tennis elbow is the golfer's elbow. In golfer's elbow, there is trauma, microtrauma to the medial epicondyle. It is common in golf players. It is repetitive strain of the common flexor origin, which is on the medial epicondyle, and the medial side of the elbow would become painful because of this. There is one more condition associated with the elbow joint that is referred to as the student's elbow or the miner's elbow. It is because of the position. It is named as student's elbow because mostly the students during the time of lecture, they support their head with their hands and the elbow is flexed. So if this posture, if it is repeatedly in habit, then it will lead to effusion into bursa over the subcutaneous posterior surface of olecranon process. This is the olecranon process, that's the bursa. So there would be effusion and it will get inflamed. This condition is referred to as the student's elbow. So that's all about the elbow joint. Thank you so much.